In a world constantly shaken by economic crises, energy shortages, political instability, and rising inequality, there's one small country that quietly moves forward, calm, prepared, and largely unaffected. That country is Denmark. It doesn't make global headlines every day. It doesn't have massive armies, huge oil fields, or billion-person markets. But it has something far rarer, a system built so intelligently, so patiently, that it can survive storms that wreck entire nations. Today, Denmark is widely regarded as having the world's most resilient economy. But how did it build this fortress of stability? The secret begins with one simple but powerful idea: trust. According to OECD surveys, Danes have some of the highest levels of social trust on Earth. Over 74% of the population say they trust other people, strangers included. Compare that to countries like the US, where social trust has fallen below 30%, and that trust isn't just about personal relationships. It spills into the economy, the government, and the financial system. Danes trust their institutions to be fair. They trust businesses to behave ethically. They trust politicians to plan for the long term, not just for the next election. This culture of trust has been carefully built over generations through transparent governance, low levels of corruption, and a strong social safety net. When trust is this high, you don't need mountains of regulation. You don't need armies of lawyers. You don't need every citizen to constantly defend themselves against exploitation. Contracts are simpler, transactions are faster, public services are more effective. Trust reduces what economists call transaction costs, the hidden frictions that slow down economic activity in most countries. It also creates what sociologists call social capital, the invisible wealth of strong relationships, cooperation, and shared norms that allow a society to solve problems faster and seize opportunities more easily. This lubricates the gears of the economy, allowing Denmark to operate with incredible efficiency and making it remarkably resilient even during global crises. But trust alone doesn't build an economy. Let's talk about the design behind it. Denmark runs what experts call the Nordic model, a clever fusion of capitalism and socialism. On one side, you have a thriving private sector. Denmark is home to some of the world's most innovative companies. Maersk, the world's largest container shipping company. Novo Nordisk, a global leader in diabetes care. Vestas, the world's largest manufacturer of wind turbines. And of course, Lego, one of the most iconic toy brands ever created. Private entrepreneurship is not only encouraged, but celebrated. In fact, Denmark consistently ranks among the top 10 countries on the Global Innovation Index and the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business rankings. On the other side, you have one of the strongest welfare systems in the world. Education is free at all levels, including universities where even international students often benefit from low or no tuition fees. Healthcare is fully universal and funded through taxes, meaning that 84% of healthcare costs are covered by the government. Childcare is heavily subsidized, with parents paying as little as 25%, 30% of actual costs, making it easier for both parents to participate in the workforce. Unemployment insurance is generous and reliable, with benefits covering up to 90% of a person's previous salary for a limited period. Parental leave is extensive, offering up to 52 weeks of combined maternity and paternity leave, with a strong cultural expectation that both parents take an active role. And remarkably, people don't mind paying for it. The top marginal tax rate in Denmark can exceed 55.9%, but tax evasion is impressively low. Surveys show that over 90% of Danes say it's never acceptable to cheat on taxes, one of the highest rates in the world. That's because Danes genuinely feel they are getting something valuable in return. Real, tangible benefits that shield them from life's unpredictabilities. In Denmark, high taxes aren't seen as a burden, but as a collective investment in a high-trust, high-security society where success doesn't leave the vulnerable behind. The Danish model is often summed up in one word: Flexicurity. It might sound like corporate jargon, but in reality, it's a brilliantly effective system that combines flexibility and security in the labor market. Denmark has made it remarkably easy for companies to hire and fire workers. Layoffs are fast, cheap, and legally simple. But in return, workers are provided with strong financial support through unemployment benefits, which can cover up to 90% of their previous income, and comprehensive retraining programs that ensure they can quickly get back into the workforce. This combination of flexibility and security creates a safety net that boosts labor market mobility without the fear of economic instability. It's a model that works. For example, during the 2008 global financial crisis, when economies from Greece to Spain were collapsing, Denmark's economy shrank by just 1.9%, far less than other EU nations, and its recovery was quicker than most, with GDP growth rebounding to over 2% by 2010. And it's not just the big companies that benefit from this system. Denmark also consistently ranks among the easiest places in the world to start a business. In fact, business registration in Denmark can take as little as 24 hours, all of it done online through a streamlined digital platform. This ease of doing business allows entrepreneurs to launch startups quickly and efficiently, fostering innovation and a vibrant small business sector. In 2023, Denmark ranked number 4 globally for ease of doing business, just behind New Zealand and Singapore, countries known for their efficient and pro-business environments. As for corruption, it's almost non-existent. According to Transparency International, Denmark has ranked as the least corrupt country on the planet for many years in a row, with a Corruption Perceptions Index score of 88/100. This extraordinary transparency ensures that both businesses and individuals can operate with confidence, knowing that the system is fair, transparent, and accountable. But Denmark's economic genius isn't just about smart internal policies. It's also about anticipating future threats, and that's where sustainability becomes a key part of the story. Back in the 1970s, Denmark was heavily reliant on imported oil, sourcing nearly 90% of its energy needs from foreign suppliers. When the global oil crisis hit and prices quadrupled overnight, Denmark suffered a major economic shock. But rather than continuing this vulnerability, Denmark made a bold decision. It invested early in renewable energy as a matter of national security and long-term stability. Today, Denmark stands as a global pioneer in wind energy. As of 2024, over 55% of its electricity comes from wind and solar sources, compared to the EU average of around 22%. And the ambitions don't stop there. Denmark is currently constructing the world's first artificial energy island, a groundbreaking $34 billion project in the North Sea. Once completed, this island will serve as a central hub, collecting electricity from surrounding offshore wind farms and distributing it to more than 10 million Europeans. This early focus on renewables has paid massive dividends. While much of Europe scrambled for alternatives after Russia's invasion of Ukraine triggered an energy crisis, Denmark's domestic energy prices remained remarkably stable. Instead of facing blackouts or skyrocketing bills, Danish households and industries had reliable, affordable electricity, shielded from the chaos of global fossil fuel markets. But sustainability isn't just a defensive play. It's become an economic superpower for Denmark. With rising global demand for green technologies, Danish companies like Vestas and Ørsted are now poised to dominate the 21st century wind energy economy. And speaking of domination, let's talk about Novo Nordisk. In 2023, something extraordinary happened. Novo Nordisk's success with revolutionary weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy became so massive that the company single-handedly lifted Denmark's GDP growth by nearly 1 full percentage point. To put that into perspective, that's like Apple or Tesla alone lifting the entire US economy's growth by an entire point, an almost unheard of phenomenon. Today, Novo Nordisk's market value exceeds $500 billion, making it larger than Denmark's entire annual GDP, which hovers around $410 billion. It's an astonishing achievement for a country of just 5.9 million people. But here's the beauty. Denmark hasn't put all its eggs in one basket. Its economy is wonderfully diversified. Sectors like shipping, renewable energy, pharmaceuticals, food technology, digital design, architecture, and tourism all contribute meaningfully to national wealth. No single sector or company holds Denmark hostage. At the heart of this resilience is Denmark's world-class education system. Over 70% of Danish adults have completed some form of post-secondary education, the highest rate in the European Union. And thanks to a culture of lifelong learning and easy access to retraining programs, the workforce remains agile and future-ready, able to pivot as industries evolve. In times of global turmoil, this preparation pays off handsomely. During COVID-19, while many governments simply issued blanket stimulus checks, Denmark rolled out highly targeted programs aimed specifically at workers and businesses most vulnerable to shutdowns, such as restaurants, travel companies, freelancers, and gig workers. These efforts kept unemployment lower than the EU average and allowed a faster economic rebound. In 2020, Denmark's GDP contracted by only 2.7%, compared to the European Union's average contraction of 6.1%. By 2021, Denmark's economy had already bounced back, posting strong growth, while many neighboring countries were still struggling. Even when global supply chains collapsed, Denmark's logistics infrastructure, particularly through Maersk's global shipping operations, played a critical role in keeping goods flowing across continents. And when energy shocks rattled Europe, Denmark's inflation not only peaked lower, but also fell sooner than most European economies, thanks largely to its energy independence and diversified supply systems. In short, Denmark isn't just surviving global crises, it's thriving through them. All of this ties back to one fundamental Danish principle. Society should work not just for today, but for the next 50 years. That's why Copenhagen, Denmark's capital, has a plan to become the world's first carbon-neutral capital city by end of 2025. That's why pensions are mandatory and well-funded. That's why urban design focuses on livability, biking, public spaces, and environmental resilience, not just shiny skyscrapers. Denmark plays the long game, quietly, patiently, successfully. In a world obsessed with quick wins and flashy headlines, Denmark teaches us something deeper. Real economic resilience isn't about shouting louder. It's about building smarter. It's about trusting each other. It's about balancing freedom with security, profit with fairness, today's needs with tomorrow's dreams. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest economic power isn't size, military strength, or flashy tech. Maybe it's simply this: a society built to last. And Denmark has mastered that art.